in mind so that they make a good decision regarding choosing an MBA or not?
Okay. So I think, let me just see how I can address the question. So I think if one is, do you want to do an MBA? Does it make sense for you or does it not make sense for you? Is a big question you need to answer. I can play the devil's advocate and say you don't need to do an MBA in a lot of cases, because if you build technical skills and you're adaptable, it's not everyone who wants to become a manager or wants to run a business, right? So a lot of people are doing very exciting things in the field of design, in the field of tech, in medicine, in health and wellness. So you don't really need to do an MBA. If you know the area of your interest, looking at your own strengths and weaknesses as an individual, what you like doing, what you enjoy doing, you could potentially do very well in your life, even without an MBA degree. So I think that is an important decision or a question that you need to ask yourself, that is it something I want to do, or are my interests aligned to something else? I think that's an important point. Now, if you do decide to do an MBA, okay, then of course, so many factors come into play. I think what is most important is to look at the learning value wherever you go. One of the words or terms that have become very popular among potential MBA students is this term called ROI. Okay, that I'm spending so much on my MBA, what am I getting in return? I think, yes, practically speaking, yes, it's important. And I'm sure every institute, including JKLU, will tell you what is your ROI. How much did you pay as fees? What sort of salaries did you get? But I think the more important thing is not that, because frankly speaking, ROI, the way you measure it, is for a year or 2 years. You're going to work for the next 20 or 30 years. So is this MBA going to help you, or whichever program, whether it's MBA, whether it's BTech, whether it's design, whether it's a master's in sociology, how is it going to help you in your career is the more important thing. ROI beyond 2 or 3 years does not matter, right? Because you have invested. Now, if 10 years down the line, you realize that what you learned in whatever graduate program you've done, postgraduate program you've done, is still helping you, that is right, the proper ROI. Okay. If you realize that the skills that you learned in this program are helping you do well in whichever is your chosen career, I think that is more important. If you see that the reputation of the institute that you studied in, that is helping you today because it has a good network of people. Okay. And the alumni network tends to be very strong. You get a lot of opportunities through the network. Now, if all of that comes in, I think you can say that your ROI from whichever program you've done is good. So I would encourage you that, whichever program you do, whether it's MBA or non-MBA, do not look at ROI from the viewpoint of I spent X lakhs, I got a salary worth Y lakhs. That is very, very short term. It is important, but it is still short term. Beyond it, you should look at the long-term value of the program. Is it going to help you in your career? Is it going to meet your life's goals? Are you clear? A lot of us are not about what you want to do in your life. And by doing this program, do you think you will start moving ahead towards the objectives that you had in your life? I think those are the points you should look at. Does that answer the question, Yagya?
Yes, sir, totally. So I guess we can take some important questions, and I would like you to start with some of the questions.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the chat box, and I see, let me see, Tarun Diwani. Okay. Yagya, could you answer that? I'm not very clear about math scores, etc. So he's asking that if his math score is weak, is it okay to give another exam?
I guess he can try other exams as well. But if he feels that certain colleges are accepting only math scores, then he can actually try again.
So Tarun, I think what we could do is, if you can possibly at the end of this leave your email ID in a chat box or something. Someone who like one of our counselors who are really experienced and know this in detail could probably get back to you, because I don't think between Yagya and me we know enough about this to give you the 100% proper guidance. Yeah. So just leave your email ID and we'll ensure that one of our counselors get back to you.
Yes. So we
Okay.
can
So
more questions.
sure. So the first question, I'm just going now in terms of chronology. At 6:07, someone asked, what about our classes? I'm assuming you're asking whether it's online or not. So what has happened now is JKLU is lucky that it has a big campus, which space is not too much of a constraint. So it has started online live classes again. So Yagya and her batch, for example, are on campus attending class in the classroom. Okay, and even the first year students below them have been invited back to class. I think they're about to start. So JKLU has started offline or live classrooms. But having said that, you can see that again in the last 3-4 days, COVID cases have been shooting up in India, right? So for the foreseeable future, because I don't think anyone really knows how long COVID will last, I would think it would be hybrid. If possible, a lot of institutes obviously will prefer to have the classes live. But depending on the situation, some classes may also continue to happen in an online mode. I mean, I think that's the best answer I can give right now. From a JKLU perspective, I can tell you that we are already live. Classroom classes are already happening. But will it continue? We don't know. Tomorrow, if there is an outbreak again, or the number of cases in Rajasthan go up, for a safety reasons, you might need to go back to online. Okay, so that is what we can tell you about this. The second person asked, will an online MBA help me in professional life? The frank answer is no, not today. What is happening is abroad, if you read interviews of people from some of the top institutes, Harvard, Sloan and all, they are all trying to get there. So they are saying that today the world is changing. A lot of people prefer to study online. So we need to figure out how to make it work. Okay, because one of the biggest advantages of any education, forget MBA, is about being on campus, is about meeting people, because the skills that you learn, there is a technical skill, but I can sit at home and study books and learn technical skills, right? But especially for MBA, because MBA is all about management. Management is all about people. So if you're sitting at home and doing an MBA, where is your interaction with people? Okay, how much are you learning how to handle a situation? So for example, if there is a festival being organized, okay, now being part of the festival, having to raise money from sponsors, tackling crisis in the festival, something went wrong, solving a problem, doing a live project, like some of our JKLU students, they go out and do projects with people, in Jaipur, in the surroundings. They help possibly lower income people in terms of some social projects. Now, those experiences you'll not get online, right? So I would think if you're studying something technical, science or IT, maybe even blockchain sort of things, and online is fine. But if you want to do a proper MBA, as of today, I don't think the world has found a solution or a substitute for a face-to-face on-campus MBA. I don't think that solution is available today. So if you're going to depend on this MBA for your career, for your qualifications, I would not recommend you do an online MBA. You do it as a side thing, which you think will help you learn something, that is fine. But do not go in having an expectation that by doing an online MBA, it is as good as doing a regular MBA. That is not correct. Okay, now going down, I have a question again from someone anonymous saying, during COVID, is it okay to go towards distance program? Please let me know. I'm from an arts background. Again, like I said, I think a lot of education is distance today because of COVID, right? Practically even school students, class 2 and 3 and 4 are sitting in front of computers and learning. So I don't think we have a choice today. A lot of it will continue to be long distance. But I think the question to ask yourself is, what do you want to study? Now you're saying you're from the arts background. Do you want to continue to study in the arts area, or are you talking about it from the perspective of an MBA? If it is from the perspective of an MBA, I would think that a distance program is not the right thing to do. Okay. However, having said that, if you want to do a specific program on analytics, data analytics, for example, you can do that online. That should be pretty good. You'll learn a lot. because there the people interactions, the management part is not really the big thing. The technical skills are more important, right? If you want to do further studies in arts, maybe it's possible to do it from a distance perspective. But from an MBA perspective, I would think that you'll lose a lot if you do only a long distance or an online program. You do need to do something where you get a chance to interact with people, to be in the market, to go and work, do an internship in a company. These are, I think, important things. Next question is from Devanshu saying, I'm not that good at studies. Should I go for MBA? So Devanshu, I was in the bottom 10 of my batch in my MBA. Okay, I don't think it has made any difference in my life. Okay, so it is, I don't think, studies the way, at least in India, in my mind, at a lot of levels, studies are more about memory than understanding and skills. Okay, so not knowing you, I can't give you advice as such, right? You need to know yourself. See, what do you need for MBA? Why do you do an MBA? Not to become a professor, right? You do an MBA to do business, to join a company, to deliver, maybe to do sales or marketing or whatever. Yeah, something practical. Now, if you're good, even outside of studies, you're good at handling people, you're good at solving problems, you take initiative, you're looking after your family, you've gone on trips alone, you've managed with very little money. These are the skills you need in life, right? If you do any of that, regardless of whether you're good at studies or not, I think you'll do well in an MBA. What the MBA will help you to do is to take those skills and make them better, right? MBA, unlike many other post-graduation programs, are not bookish programs. Is not a bookish program. You don't need to mug and learn by heart and go and get 100 out of 100 in an exam. That does not matter in an MBA. In the MBA, what matters is, are you learning something that you can use in real life? So as long as you think that, other than not getting good marks, you are able to handle yourself, you consider yourself reasonably intelligent, you consider yourself quite capable, you can handle issues, you can solve problems. If a friend has an issue, you can go and solve it for them. I think an MBA may be a good opportunity for you to take up. Okay, so the only thing is, unfortunately, most MBA programs need some basic cutoff score in your CAT, MAT, whatever exam. So you will need to put your head down and say, I will do this. I'll show the world I can at least crack this exam. I may not be good in my studies, but if that is the requirement needed for qualifying, I think 2-3 months of solid hard work, I don't see any reason why any person should not be able to do it. Right? So that, like it or not, is a part of the process. So you need to really seriously focus on getting that done. But once you get that part of it done, I think you can still do pretty well in an MBA. Rohit is asking, in the MBA program, which stream is the best? There is no real answer for this, Rohit, because if you look at the US, okay, the bulk of the MBA students from Harvard and the other top MBA programs, they go into 2 areas. They go into consulting or they go into finance. In India, it's the opposite. The bulk of the students get into marketing. Why that happens is, in India, getting a job in sales or marketing is much, much easier. There are many, many more opportunities in sales and marketing compared to consulting or compared to finance. Okay. Plus, in order to do finance, a lot of times you need to have a finance background. You need to be a BCom. Some people are doing their CFAs or CAs, etc. So I would think a lot of us, like I did, the reason I did marketing was because I was not good at anything else. Okay. I couldn't do finance. I was not good at operations. So I ended up doing marketing, which I loved. I enjoyed myself. So I don't know if any of you are engineers, but in engineering, they say mechanical is the evergreen stream. No matter how much the economy goes up or down, mechanical is something which will last forever. That's the basic core of engineering. Similarly, I would think in MBA, marketing is like the aloo of your gravy, right? Aloo can go with all sorts of vegetables. So marketing is like that. If you do marketing, you'll survive, you'll do well. Having said that, if you get into finance, you get into an investment bank, you'll probably earn 4 times the salary that the marketing guy is earning. Okay, so how do you look at best is your perspective. Is it by salary? Is it by what really interests you? So to give you an example, my first boss, he was working in Citibank at a huge salary. He quit it. He joined another company at about half the salary. And why did he do so? Because he was not enjoying his work. Now he's ended up doing extremely well, but so I think that factor is also important. What is your aptitude? Do you enjoy doing finance? If you hate finance, but you know finance gives a higher salary, does it make sense for you to do an MBA in finance? Because you get to a job, then you're miserable in the job. You're earning money, but you're not happy. Stress builds up. You're having fights with your family. No, is it worth all that? So I think it's difficult to say broadly which field is the best. I think you need to sort of look at your own interests, skills, etc., and then decide which MBA stream is right for you. Okay.
And so even
In general, yes,
that
please.
even in my MBA journey, I would like to say that I was not restricting myself to only understand marketing, but I actually wanted to know what all are the key financial terms, key operation terms, how an HR works in an organization. So I feel that we should know all these departments, how they work, what all are the key responsibilities and roles which the professionals perform. So if you are in an organization culture, so we interact with a lot of employees. So there will be employees of finance, operations. So you actually get to know a lot about their work. And there would be times when they might be in some crisis, or maybe they don't know any technologies. Like HR people are not acquainted with the technologies. So we can actually help them that how they can use HR analytics. Because we, as a marketing people, we know marketing analytics, data analytics. So we can help HR professionals, as in how they can interpret the data and they can make use of those data and they can understand why not there is employee engagement, why there is so much of attrition rate in the company. So I guess we should be aware of all the departments. We should not restrict ourselves that we will only go for marketing. That's where you actually develop yourself holistically and you will do great things in life then only. So,
Right. Thanks, Jag. Yeah, in fact, I'd like to make a point here. So in JKLU, as well as in most other institutes, in the first year, you really don't have a choice of what subjects you're going to study. You're forced to study everything, whether it's finance, operations, marketing, HR. Why is that so? Because like Yagya said, it gives you a flavor of business, of an organization. You get exposed to each area. After the first year, and a lot of students are not clear in the first year as to what they want to do. When they join the MBA, they're not very sure, right? You've just completed your graduation. You don't have a lot of exposure. After the first year, some students discover, okay, I enjoy finance. I think I should focus more on finance, or I enjoy HR, or I like marketing. In the second year is when you then start choosing subjects, because a lot of the subjects in the second year are what we call electives. So there are some mandatory subjects that everyone takes, but the other subjects, you are free to choose from a basket of subjects. So if you feel that finance is what you're really interested in, you may take a lot of finance courses and you build your profile in finance. Okay. So like Yagya said, first year you learn about everything. Second year is when you can really zoom in on saying, this is what interests me. Let me focus on this. Okay. So we have about 10 minutes, 12 minutes to go. Let me quickly look at the other questions. So Sandeep Kondle is asking what kind of profiles of MBA aspirants are expected by MBA institutes. If you look at the IIMs, majority of the students tend to be engineers. And that is not because IIMs look for engineers. It is just that if you do engineering, you are trained better. It's easier for you to get a good score in your CAT or MAT or whatever exam you're giving, because you do a lot of quantitative analysis. They train you on logical thinking. So I don't think an MBA institute says I want an engineer or I want a BA or BCom. I think, in my opinion, we look at people who are intelligent, people who are ethical, people who are sensible, people who can manage. Self-starter is very important. Do you need to be kicked out of bed every morning, or do you get up on your own and do your own stuff? Those are the characteristics we look at. I don't think many institutes would say, no, I just want only an engineer, or I only want this sort of a profile. Okay. In fact, in the early days, IIM, Ahmedabad, etc., would consciously recruit people from the art streams because they're getting too many engineers. Just to balance it out, they would actually take people from non-engineering streams. Point is, there is a basic qualification. You get interviewed, you do various tests, etc. As long as you meet the cutoff, it should not matter whether you've done science, arts, commerce. It really should not matter. Having said all that, I think if you're entrepreneurial in nature, you have started your own small business, you're helping your parents in their business, Those are extra points that you will get, because end of the day, the MBA is about business. And if you show that, yes, you have an orientation or you have an aptitude for business, if you show that you've taken initiatives, you have run something on your own, like one of our students, Yagya's batchmate, she was running her own MGO even before joining her MBA program. Those are the people who will get selected, have a better chance of getting selected, because they are already on the path to doing business. Okay. I'm just going back. There's an early question on what is the scope of Agri MBA from Ronald. I would think, Ronald, I am not an expert here. Again, please, if you can leave your, what do you call it, email ID. One of our professors, Yagya Uma Maheshwaran, sorry. He is doing his PhD in agriculture, agricultural marketing in that area. So we have a person who could probably help you. In my opinion, it helps, because if you look at the agriculture sector, there's definitely a huge need of management skills there. One of our top institutes in India is IRMA, the Institute of Rural Management in Anand, Gujarat. And their graduates do extremely well in various companies. So I would think that doing an MBA and getting into the agriculture sector would be a good move. But specifically an MBA in agricultural management, I'm not personally, I don't know much about it. We'll try to get back to you. Okay. Let me now see. What is the impact of an MBA on our lifestyles? Okay, that's an interesting question. If you do an MBA and you add value to yourself, then chances are you might go up faster in your career compared to your batchmates who have not done an MBA. So if you look at it from that perspective, possibly your lifestyle will be better. That's all I can say. Having said that, there are so many people who have not done an MBA and they've done extremely well. So it's not necessary that just by doing an MBA, you'll have a better lifestyle compared to others. A lot depends on how well you do after your MBA. MBA is only a starting point, right? You get trained, you learn something, you learn a few courses, you get some skills. After that, when you go into work, the MBA is a qualifying mark to get into a job. But how well you do in the job is basically upon you. How passionate are you? Do you have the right aptitude for that work? Do you work hard? Do you take initiative? All those factors will come in. I think I've answered the question on online MBA. Okay, Suresh is asking about the scope of MBA in international business management. So Suresh, at least if I speak from the perspective of JKLU, we don't give, to the best of my knowledge, an MBA in international business management. We give an MBA, okay, which teaches you how to manage. Now, after this, we may have one or two, or maybe one elective on international business management, but the program is definitely not focused on international business. So if that is something that you're very passionate about, you need to study as to which institutes provide the best international business management courses. Okay, scope should be good, but to the best of my knowledge, when companies come to recruit in India, they don't look at international business management. They look at what have you done in your MBA, whether it's in marketing or sales or finance or operations. That is what most companies look at. I think international business makes you get into a very small and niche category. And from an employment perspective, there may not be a lot of companies who are recruiting MBAs in international business management. So if you're really very passionate about it, very keen about it, please go ahead, explore it. But if it's something you're just considering, I would suggest you do a lot of reading. Ask people how many students are recruited in international business management roles from institutes. Look at all that before making up your mind.
And so I guess also he can research about different MOOC courses we have. Like we have Coursera courses, we have UpGrad. So they are actually providing these certification courses. So if like he's really willing to try international business, so if there is no other colleges giving that, so he can try these certification courses. And even the interviewers, like I have given some interviews, so they are actually seeing new skills and new courses which you have done during the pandemic. So this will actually act as an add-on benefit. So he can go with these things.
Great, good. Thanks for the perspective. Abhishek is saying, if I build such skills, if I want to be proficient in such skills, then can that be a reason? Yes, Abhishek. I mean, if you recall what I spoke about earlier about the Pinnacle program, that obviously has some of the things that are a bit different, but even any MBA program will actually give you these skills. So if you decide whichever program you decide for, see what sort of inputs the program is giving in your personal development. Okay, outside of the basic studies, what else do they have? How many sort of events they participate in? What do their students do? Are they winning any business plan competitions, etc., etc.? Because that will give you a sense of how much is that institute focusing on these skills. Okay, so take a look at all that before making up your mind. Usually doing an MBA does allow you to improve your skills. Having said that, not all institutes are going to be after you to train you for those skills. So a lot of times, if you really want to be proficient or develop certain skills, the initiative has to come from you. You need to push yourself. So to give you an example, not in JKLU, in another institute, a boy who was my student, he was not very good in speaking English. Okay, he got through, he did well, he got through the institute. But then what he did was they have something called the Toastmasters Club. Okay, it's an international organization where when you join, you actually go on stage, you speak. So in a way, it's a training. You're with your friends, and you have various such programs. So this guy, in order to continue to develop his communication skills in the specific institute, he became a member of this club. That again helped him over the 2 years to keep on developing his skills. So I think even if an institute is not specifically giving you inputs, there are lots of activities that happen in most institutes. You have to take the initiative to get exposed or join those activities, and that is how your skills will go up. Okay. What is GDPI? And so the question, Yagya, is in GDPI, what is looked for in a candidate? What is GDPI? I have no idea.
GD group discussion, PI personal interview.
Okay. Okay, Rupinder, now I know what you're asking. Okay, so in both, I think what we are trying to see is, if you're someone who has drive, who has initiative, I think that's very important. Are you what we call a self-starter, or do you wait for others to tell you what to do? Second, are you good at handling? Do you work well in a group? That's why you have a group discussion, because you're put in with 8 to 10 people that you've never met in your life. Okay, in those 20-30 minutes, you need to work with them and have a good, sensible discussion about a certain issue, right? So that is, and if you look at work life, that's an important thing, right? When you join a job, you can't choose who your colleagues will be. You can't choose who your boss is going to be, but you need to work well with them, regardless of whether they're the type of people you like or don't like. So how you interact in your group gives us a sense of, okay, is this person good at handling people? Will this person work well in a team? Because in any organization, you are always working in teams, right? So GD, I think those are the two things we'd look at. In an interview, what we'll look at is, what have you achieved in your life? Okay, so you may be a fresher, but when we interview you, if we look at what have you done, academically, are you good? Have you been a topper, or do you have good scores? But even more important from an MBA perspective would be, what have you done outside of academics? Are you only studying and doing nothing else, or do you have other activities and interests? It could be anything. It could be music, it could be dramatics, it could be sports. Okay, because we were looking for well-rounded people. That's one. Secondly, have you worked in teams? Have you taken initiatives? So for example, do you have a college festival? Did you participate in the festival? Or even better, did you organize the festival? Were you in a senior position? Okay. So all of these things. Okay, the third would be, what sort of initiatives? So a friend of mine, for example, he was a very good dancer. So one of his things was, whichever institute he studied in, even if there was no dancing in that institute, he would actually go and start a dance club there. He would actually be the first person to start dancing as a discipline in that institute. And in 2 institutes, he has created the first dance club. Okay, so another friend of mine, he was so passionate about roller skating that in my engineering college, when no one else was roller skating, he started telling people about it. And by the time we graduated from the institute, he was able to convince the management to put up a roller skating rink. Okay, so Such things I think become important. And when you go for your MBA interviews, do not think these are small things, okay? Because the interviewers will ask you about what you have achieved. So you should not say that I'm a fresher, I've achieved nothing in life. That's wrong. Most of you have done a lot of stuff, not just in studies but outside. Think of all that and show that yes, I take initiative. Yes, I work well in teams. Yes, I can solve problems, because that is going to help you in whichever interview you're going for. That will help you crack those interviews. That will at least give the interviewer a good perspective about the type of person you are beyond whatever is written in your biodata.
Yes, sir. It actually
Okay, I think.
During my Bharti AXA interview.
Sorry, yeah.
So actually, I had my interview with the CFO, and he was actually keen to know about what extracurricular activities I was involved during my MBA. So he was like, yes, you have done your internships, you have been into life projects, but I want to know you, what Yagya has done in her entire life, what all extracurricular you have been. Have you participated in any club activities? So I was actually happy that, thank God, I have been part of these clubs. I have participated in different college festivals. I have represented my college in various other colleges, various other institutes. So this actually shows that you are not only a workaholic or just a student who is reading textbooks and doing his or her assignments, but you are something more than that. Even you are someone who, when you will enter the organization, you will contribute a lot other than your work. So these factors actually benefit a lot, and you should speak that in your interview.
Yeah, don't underestimate yourself, I think, because many a time I have interviewed people and I ask them, tell me about one achievement in your life. And a lot of our people are very modest. So say, sir, I have not achieved anything. Okay, so even if it's something small, talk about it, because we want to see. Thing is, if you're a fresh graduate, we can see your marks, we can see the subject, we can see what college or school you have studied in, but that does not tell us enough about you, right? We want to know if you can be a good manager. So I need to know more about you as a person, like Yagya was saying. So whatever helps the interviewer to learn more about you, I think that is important for you to highlight. Okay, so if you're going for interviews, I would strongly recommend list down, what are the things about you that will help you stand out from your friends, that will help to convince an interviewer that you can be a good manager. Write them down, that these are the 4 points I want to talk about. For each of the 4 points, write a story. I'm not meaning a fictional story, a real story about how, if you want to show leadership skills, what did you do that proves that you're good in leadership skills? If you want to show that I can, I can get beaten up like a Hindi movie hero, and yet at the end I will win. Think about a situation where it happened, where you faced failure, but then you fought back and eventually you did well. Like, very simple example, I have interviewed students who did very badly in their class 10. Then they cracked class 12. When we asked them, he said, yeah, I got into bad friend circles. I did not focus. So I lost focus. But look at me. I came back in class 12 and look at my score in class 12.